wasn't much of a turning radius. Found the problem. Wow, that one's on. No, that's not on. Oh, what the fuck's close? I think something's done for again. Developing things is like this. I need to lift the head again. It spews water all out over again. I was out though on a test run. Overall successful. Overall successful test run. But all of a sudden it just I did a burnout just for fun. It just bogged off, and then it wouldn't start anymore, and then I had to, with dragging brakes, I had to push it all the way home, about 1.5 kilometers only, but hard enough. It's was a little bit uphill also and downhill, but well, I ain't no athlete. However, I found now when I was starting it was spewing water out of the radiator, what do you call it, where it's supposed to spew out water to save the radiator from blowing up and such when having too high pressure. Well, or the radiator cap isn't any good. I hope for the last one. Otherwise, it's something with the head again. I'm hoping for the last. That's the radiator cap down here. As I have noticed, when air bleeding, it sucks air. It kind of like when I push on the hoses to burp. It sucks air through the gasket on the excuse me, on the cap, and it might even blow out some water when it gets pressurized, when it's getting hot. However, where the water found its way is straight down the carburetor. Straight down the carburetor, right here. Let's see if I can show you guys. Where are we? Right in the back, right here. There's an opening for a hose. I need to set the hose now. A little bung, and then you can pull the hose away. And it just spews water out and drips, and it sucks the water in. So of course it didn't start when its carburetor was full of water, because water finds its way down into the float bowl and everything, and it sits way down. And all the way down there is where the jet is sucking its fluid. So it sucked water, so it wouldn't start. So I have probably found the issue. I need to do some building again. I hope it's not the cylinder, because it's the normal issue again. I haven't got any puke tank. So when the engine is getting hot, or hotter, the water expands. It does need to go somewhere, and maybe the cap is opening and it's sealing quite bad also. But having a puke tank, it blows out the water into that one, and then when the water cools, it sucks it back again. I need to manufacture something, a little bit of a puke tank. little bit of a bug. I forgot to lock this one with Loctite as the bearing for the balance shaft, and some screws vibrated out and now it's pouring oil. But that's good for one reason though. I can see the oil is circulating all the way at that point, at that where the balancing shaft is. I had my thoughts it wouldn't do that, so that's okay, even though it's bad. So yeah, I'll talk to you in a bit. And after a couple of test drives, the first one didn't actually, it did work, but it didn't end super good. I had some issue. It just poured in water into the carburetor when the engine was getting hot, so the engine just died out for me. I was trying to do a burnout and then yeah, well, that's how it is. When it becomes hot, it spew out water from where it's supposed to be connected to a puke tank, but didn't have a puke tank, so it just went straight into the carburetor when it poured down and the engine was sucking it. However, I fixed that and I took a test drive again. Went very much better, and yeah, I found some small issues to fix, and that's why you're doing test drives, I suppose. And I'll show you why. Well, not many issues though, just one actually. Well, the puke tank of course, but the main issue was the balance shaft. That was I haven't locked the screws. It's my fault. I'll take the blame for that, of course. Of course it's me to blame, because I'm the only one doing stuff on this. But I'll show you. You can see right here, missing one, and one's going out. And this is actually middle, in the middle of it is quite good, because this is the balance shaft, one case for it. I actually was not sure of the oil was lubricating, the gearbox oil was reaching all the way in front of the engine to lubricate the bearings I had for the balance shaft. But this tells me it's no problem, because it was pouring out oil. So that's good. Excuse me. And yeah, I did some cleaning up of the electrical system and everything, so it should be easier to ride without having to think about that. And I installed a headlight, as right there you can see. I wanted a big one because all bikes had big headlights, but I will lower it a little bit, kind of like 1-2 centimeters only. It stands, you know. So that's what I had for this time, this update. So I'll see you later, guys. Bye.